Hello and welcome to a special Q&A recording of Preparations to Be Together for an Unknown Period of Time, one of the 50 official selection titles at the 45th Toronto International Film Festival. Thank you for joining us. As an organization still impacted by COVID-19, we need the support of our audiences so that we can continue to present films to future generations and to preserve these artistic and important voices. My name is Adèle H, and I'm Tiff's curator of Central and Eastern European cinema, as well as the lead programmer of Discovery, a showcase of new talent from around the world. Discovery presents the first and second features of daring directors and is a place to unearth art that is bold, distinctive, adventurous, and above all, passionate. I am thrilled to be here with Lili Horvát, director of Preparations to Be Together for an Unknown Period of Time. This film plays as part of Contemporary World Cinema, which is generously sponsored by Sun Life. It is eligible for the People's Choice Award, and you can vote for as many films as you like at tiff.net/vote. First of all, Lili, welcome. It's so nice to have you here. Thank you for joining us from Budapest. And I just want to say that I absolutely adore this film. I believe it was invited the day that I first saw it. And you wrote and directed Preparations to Be Together for an Unknown Period of Time, which is your second feature. So I'm wondering if you can tell us about your inspirations for this film.
Well, first of all, thank you for having us in this strange year, and I'm really sorry that I can't be there in person, but I'm thrilled anyway that you all have watched our film, and I hope also appreciate it. So thank you. And as for my inspirations, first I had only a core idea for the film, that scene in the parking lot. It wasn't a parking lot in my head back then, but I had this idea that a woman filled with love comes to a man and to start their life together, full of love, and then the man says that I'm sorry, I don't know you, and then reality shudders, and we don't know where the truth is, if the man's lying or the woman is fantasizing about a big love story. And then I kept the idea in myself, and for quite a long time. It came to me still while I was in the preparations of my first feature, and then after a couple of years, the story started to grow and grow, and I came up with the idea that they both should be doctors, that they shouldn't be in their first youth anymore, because it means more. They much more is at a risk when you are approaching 40 or 50, and so on, that the woman should come from a different continent, should sacrifice something for a man, and so on.
Mm-hmm. I love that the film opens with a little epigraph of Sylvia Plath's Villanelle Mad Girls Love Song. Was this something that was added after, or was it part of your inspiration for the film? It fits so beautifully.
Yeah, it was actually I was looking for something while I was writing the screenplay that can bring the audience already in the mood of the film, or give a hint of what will happen afterwards. And then I just read poems I liked, or texts of authors that I like a lot, and yeah, Sylvia Plath is one of them. And then I came across this poem, and I felt that okay, this is what I want to say with this film, or yeah, this really fits it well. And then it was already the first page of the screenplay, and I felt that it already the readers resonated very well.
Mm-hmm. I'm jumping right into the philosophical questions. Do you believe that love is a madness?
Well, the film plays in this unsettlingly murky no man's land that separates love from madness, and I think that with the psychiatrist scenes, I also wanted to tell that yet we are looking for, we see the symptoms and we are looking for a diagnosis. And it is actually, at the end, it turns out that the diagnosis is love.
I absolutely love Natasa Stork in this film playing Márta, and I hadn't heard of her before. I'm wondering if you had her in mind for the role, or did she audition, and what the process of bringing her on to the project was.
Yeah, she did audition. There was a big casting process because it's a big role. The leading actress is in practically every scene. But Natasha was the first person I met in this process, and the first time I saw her, I felt that okay, I'm super calm. This is the girl, and afterwards we did quite a few auditions, and it didn't work so well then, but still I didn't lose this calmness. I felt that with this person I can reach the character I have in my mind, and I felt that her face and her physical appearance is absolutely for the big screen, and I was quite surprised that she haven't had any big film roles before. So I'm the lucky first one for her, and I felt that she's super intelligent, and which was very important because she has to play a brain surgeon, so we have to believe it, and she was very, very hardworking too. So when I made this decision, then I didn't see Márta yet in her. I mean, it wasn't there still, but I felt that together with her we will reach it, and we were rehearsing a lot before the shooting. We did rehearsals with the other actors, so with her and the other actors. But parallelly, we were the DP, Robert Mali, and Natasha and I. We worked just the three of us with a small handycam. We made like little mini things, like how the facial expressions would work, how she will walk, because it's normally she has a different kind of walking, for instance, and so on. And at the last dress rehearsal, 2 days before the shooting, there I saw that Dr. Márta Vizy standing there. So while we were already shooting the film, it was only the fine tuning. It was really enjoyable for both of us, I guess.
And you shot on 35. Could you talk a little bit about that decision?
Yeah, surely. We felt, the DOP and I, that this story requires something that is different from this sharpness of video images. We felt that this imperfection of film, these grains and all these uncertainties and secrets and mystery that 35 millimeter carry, and the reference of big old cinema fits this story very well. And it's of course it's always a question of budget, because shooting on film is much more expensive. But after my first film, I got a very good advice from László Nemes, director of Son of Soul and Sunset, because he read in an interview that I told some journalists that how much I like that he is shooting on 35, and he asked me why didn't you shoot on 35, and then I told him that because of the budget and we couldn't afford it, and then he told me that if you put it in the first place, that this is something that can't be changed. This is a fact that you're shooting on 35, then you will make compromises in the other areas, but not here. And this is what we've done. And luckily my producers were very supportive in this too, and yeah, there was no question that this is important for the film. And now even the those who funded the film, Hungarian Film Institute, they really appreciate this choice.
Was this a difficult process to get the film financed in Hungary? Can you tell us a little bit about the state of the cinema there?
It wasn't. It was still financed in the previous era. So the Film Institute was led by Andy Weiner back then, and this film really had a smooth way. Maybe because my first film was successful in the festival circuit, they really embraced the idea that I should make a second film, and that they really liked the screenplay. We developed the screenplay with them. Of course, we had creative fights, but we didn't really have any problems.
That's great. That's fantastic to hear. On the topic of Hungary, so you come from the land of Márta Vizy and Ildikó Enyedi, who are really two of my all-time favorite filmmakers. And I wonder if you're also inspired by Hungarian cinema, and if so, what exactly?
Yeah, sure. And I studied filmmaking there. I started to study film in Paris at a very young age, but then I completed my studies in Hungary, and Ildikó Enyedi was one of my main professors, and of course I was, and I think I can tell we are also friends, and yeah, of course she inspired me in her whole attitude towards filmmaking and towards life as well.
Are there other international inspirations you draw from?
There's one director, Christian Petzold, German director, and every time, I don't know him personally, but every time I see one of his films, I think that I could have come up with this idea. So yeah, something, yeah, maybe, yeah, he has some, we have some similarity in our thought processes.
I can see it. I can definitely see it. You mentioned at the beginning that you, when you were working on your first film, you already had the idea for preparations to be together for an unknown period of time. I'm wondering if your third or fourth or fifth ideas have come already as you were working, or if you're taking a break.
No, I'm already working on an idea, but it's, yeah, I can say that it's a contemporary version of the Pygmalion story.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The original one, Ovid's Pygmalion, and but we haven't submitted it, or it's not in production yet.
But the idea is there.
The idea is there.
Oh, Lili, I mean, I wish that we could speak with you for much longer. It's very sad that we couldn't host you in person in Toronto, and that our conversation has to be so short, but I really want to thank you for joining us and for sharing some of your inspirations and your work. It is truly, like I said, one of the most beautiful films in the festival, and I'm very much looking forward to audiences all around the world seeing it. So thank you so much for your work.